Thanks, Claire. So those who don't know me, I'm Mary Kate. I work in the Social and Public Health Sciences unit. So this is about introducing research data stewards for the School of Health and Wellbeing. So before I start talking about research data stewards, so even though I've got 30 years experience working in epidemiology and public health research, and I've been working for 10 years as a research data steward role within the Social and Public Health Sciences unit. I do know a lot of the work that's going on across the school because, involvement with research away days and seminars like this. I am aware that I do need to learn more about the current research data management practices and needs across the school. So what I've been doing within SBHSU in my role is I have led on standard operating procedures, delivered training and resources on research data management. For example, I created example data management plans to help people that were useful, procedures on digital archiving. I'm the chair of the Data Access Committee, and that's quite a wide role involving all things data sharing, including sort of data sharing processes and queries around data sharing and that kind of thing. I also do regular updates to all staff and students within the unit on level 4 on research data management, open research and other things too. I think one of the important things about having a role like mine is that quite often I will identify issues or notice that issues have been identified and be proactive about finding solutions for these. So some examples of things that I've done within our unit. I've worked with other colleagues to agree a standard folder structure for study files and a study master file. Just happened. What happened there? That still be seen online okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So also I've developed a tool for archiving. So this is a program I wrote that you can run and you can create this CSV file which you can open in Excel, and you can at a glance see all your files and folders, which is really handy if you're going to be archiving. It's available to people within our unit, but my plan is to put it on GitHub. So when I do that, I can send out to the school if anybody else wants to use it. And if anybody wants to help me with kind of piloting what I put on GitHub, happy to volunteers, because sometimes it's good to have these things piloted a little. Also, another thing that happened was that we had some instances of scam and disruptive participants. So I led a response to that. We had a little meeting with all those who'd experienced that, all the researchers, and produced a top tips to mitigate the risks around that. So that's something else I can share across the school, actually, within the school teams. In terms of secondary data, I've sort of, to help people out, kind of coordinated the sharing of examples of data access applications, privacy panel applications. That's been really useful because it's just like these are horrible forms. It's really helpful to see another example when you do that. I was involved with getting this ONS assured organizational connectivity set up on level 4, which was so that people could access certain restricted data, ONS data. So in general, sort of day-to-day with researchers, I'm involved when there are funding applications with the data management planning and considerations about data with external collaborators. Usually when the studies start, when data collection starts, people are doing their ethics application, sort of sharing some of the documents with me, and I'm able to kind of like spot like wording on your participant information that is going to cause problems down the line if it's not altered, things like that. Quite often there's lots of queries around things like data transfer between collaborators, external collaborators. I've also sort of worked with people archiving their data. For example, in the UK Data Service, on University of Glasgow in Lighting Research Data and in OSF. So as you'll almost certainly know, there are changes within the Social and Public Health Sciences unit with the withdrawal of MRC core funding. The college's transition executive group have noted, so they're reviewing the unit and have noted the value they see in the research data steward role. This role has until now been mainly MRC core funded, but with a degree of cost recovery on external funding bids. And there's been a recommendation that this role be costed into future funding applications across the school going forward. And the success of cost recovery this way will be used to make a business case for the role being continued. So with this role expanding across the school, here's how I see the future scope. So it would not be replicating the kind of support and resources that we already have from our lovely research data management colleagues, data protection colleagues, etc., but we'd complement these by leading on discipline-specific resources and training. I would maintain and continue to build close links with various university services, like those I've just mentioned, things like research computing as a service, any research culture groups around open research and that kind of thing. In the past, sort of working with research and innovation services, working with research data management, they have expressed on several occasions the value they found in having somebody in this role within our unit, and the kind of things that we've been able to do sometimes at the forefront of what people are doing across the university. So I won't be writing people's data management plans or doing their archiving for them, but will provide expert advice and leadership. And particularly supportive of postgraduate research students and researchers who are new to data collection, because that's when a bit of hand-holding is required, and just sort of take the fear out of the stuff that we all have to do. In terms of the future scope, my hope is that I'll have conversations with researchers across the school to assess the current state of play in terms of research data management needs. Hoping to be able to share some of the existing SPHSU policies and processes that are appropriate across the school, tweak them as necessary, and if they can help everybody, that's fabulous. There are maybe some examples, and almost certainly some examples of good practice already happening across the school. Find out what they are, and if we can help to spread those, that would be great. I had a chat with Frances Mayer, our head of school, and her priority is that studies are audit ready, that we have things in good order, that things are done properly, that processes are in place so that that happens more easily for researchers. The way I see this role is as a conduit for the spreading of good practice in research data management across the whole school. So in terms of this cost recovery, I've discussed the costing and things with our project coordinator, Stephen Curry, who's the project coordinator for our unit. He recommends directly allocated cost, DA cost. And now these are estimates rather than exact amounts of time that I would spend on your project. He's recommending 5% across the whole project, especially for those projects that are collecting data. Preferably I would be named. This would help us keep track for the business case. Just to give you an idea of what that is, 1%, each 1% costed is about 2 days per year. In terms of what this buys, so some of it would be specific for your project, some of it would be more kind of general across the school, but that would help you and others. So for your project, it would be consultation with the research data steward at project startup, archival, and as necessary. And you would have priority if you've costed in the role. In terms of what it would cover for colleagues across the school, this would be a bit of a kind of sunk cost, really, because things like funding applications may or may not be successful, but it's really helpful to have somebody like a research data steward in these discussions at the start when you're doing your data management planning there. So that's kind of like something that we'll just maybe have to cover. Producing training and resources related to the kind of stuff we do, and leadership on good research data management. And then generally consultation on research data management across all projects as capacity allows, but with priority to those who have funded the role into their funding bids. And maybe we'll get enough money in to employ additional data stewards across the school, which would be fabulous. So what next? My plan is to prepare a short paragraph for the project coordinators and PIs on how to cost it in. Asha will share that. And I can meet with PIs who are doing funding applications to discuss data management and costings. I would ask that you always let me know if you're costing me into a grant so that we can make sure we've got it added to our business case. And just to say, you may never have heard of Research Data Stewards, but there are other organisations where this is happening. There's a university in the Netherlands who are doing it. They're funding it across the institution. UCL have some based in their advanced research computing. University of Edinburgh Medical School have data managers who are doing something very similar to what I've been doing here. There's a sort of parallel with research software engineers in the sense that they've become more established. So in the future, Research Data Stewards could too. I'm suggesting that we be pioneers within the university in having Research Data Stewards to help us do data management and open research much better and more confidently. So just what some of my colleagues upstairs in level 4 have said. So PhD student says, this has made me feel like the ethics and data management were processes that were not to be feared, but opportunities to learn. I do not feel stupid or afraid to ask questions. Another PhD student who has a particularly complex or novel methods that she was using said Mary Kate's role is essential, especially in management of special cases and troubleshooting issues that cannot be fully explained in written standard operating procedures. So researcher Rachel Thompson said this led to us successfully getting through ethics approval process with minimal changes. Peter Craig says, we've costed some of your time into our application for 5 years funding. We will be working with a number of local authorities, often on studies involving data sets that haven't previously been shared or used for research and whose owners are unfamiliar with data sharing standards. That could be helpful. Sharon Simpson points out that keeping the unit abreast of important changes in the law or best practice in relation to data management and sharing is really important. Kirsty Mitchell, as PI involving Mary Kate and my grants, significantly reduces the risk of mistakes or overlooking key details. Her support significantly reduces stress for the PI and also helps protect the school and university from reputational damage. And project manager David Mary Kate provided valuable support helping me to develop a robust data management plan for a successful 7.5 million MRC grant application health mod. To cost Mary Kate in at 5% of her time, I would recommend to anyone working on data-intensive projects that data management support should be included in the budget. And I have got more testimonials, which I'm not going to read out. I'll just click through them for the video and there. Thanks to my lovely colleagues who gave these. Thanks very much. Any questions?
I think it's a really important role. Personally, I often forget about that whole side of things. I think, yeah, we need like 10 of you. I never really thought about costing my applications.
So I'll get that paragraph out to people as soon as I can. And if we've got a recording of this, I can put a link to the video as well, so that could be helpful.
Got time for 5 minutes questions? Are there any online?
How many data stewards do you think the school needs?
10. Here's the estimate. Yeah, I think it would be good to have maybe 2 or 3 going forward.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Hamish, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question, but sorry, I thought someone was about to ask the one in the room. I can't tell.
Oh, Hamish, you go first.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, there were none online, but I just had a question regarding yeah, you're just one person doing a really valuable job, and someone just asked how many data stewards do you think we need? And I was wondering, can any of the work be not automated, but are there sort of things that people could work through online that would save them and you time before they met with you, because I think the human contact aspect of it would be really important, as each data set or data type is probably very different and might need bespoke arrangements. But yeah, I think it's an increasingly important problem, and knowing when to archive data and delete data, and it's all quite time consuming. I was wondering if there's anything that could help with that.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's one of my aims, is to create resources that can help with that. And whenever I do have somebody come and ask me questions, I quite often think, right, if only I had a minute, what could I do? What could I prepare, a checklist or something, just to kind of like help people not need me so much. And I think that's definitely an efficient way to do things. And I think especially providing examples, good examples, pointing people to these things can really help. And running the odd session that, at the start of the year, just to make sure that early researchers or postgraduate research students can get an opportunity to get a good kind of foundation in some of this stuff. That would be good. So all these kind of things, definitely a more efficient way to do it than just answering individual questions. Thanks.
Great.
Yes, that's a really
Thank
good
you.
point.
Very clear. I was just going to bring in about, it was really helpful, when you were talking about data management plans and privacy notice, all that sort of thing that you have, as researchers, we have to use. But it's also the help that you provide also with the different people in the university that you have to liaise with too. So you have to submit your ethics, but then it's a DP office, and the messages change what you have to do and what you don't have to do. And then like I've got Qualtrics platform. There's been a whole lot of issues around that it's been very hard to get answers on. And so I think, although we think of just our data management plan, the whole area is such a complex system to navigate, and to have people that understand that better, and having people that you can approach to work with you on that is really, really helpful too.
Thanks, Judith. Yes, I think the advocacy that I've been able to bring has been really helpful for things like, I've been copied in on the Qualtrics discussions. We've had a transcription provider discussions. There's quite a lot of things that we've, maybe as a result of having somebody like me in the unit, we've been kind of leading quite a lot of things across the university, when you've kind of almost been having to knock heads together across all the different departments. They're lovely colleagues, they're fabulous, they work really hard.
You can understand why some of these issues haven't been discussed before, within the rest of the university too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's been it's true, it's this and also if somebody's not used to talking to contracts or talking to the DP office, sort of talking to me or copying me in kind of helps them feel like they can navigate more with them, and the language to use, that kind of thing, can help as well.
And the discussions we've had, lots of people don't know about the information assets register as well. There's lots of things out there that people in terms of data management. We know about the plans, we know privacy notices.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, anybody with personal data, make sure it's in the information asset register with the DP office. If you haven't done it yet, do it this afternoon.
So basically, I'm another top fan of yours. What you do is amazing. So thank you. So a lot of that information you've developed and produced, those resources, are currently sitting within the unit upstairs. So what opportunities are there for those to become more widely available?
Yes, I'm hoping
top libraries and things like that.
Yes, I'm hoping that we'll go through our standard operating procedure library, our SOP box, and just take each one and think, right, can that be, can that help across the school? Or, like I say, there might be even better stuff happening in other groups across the school. Yeah, anything that can be kind of tweaked or even just made available, and if people want to take it as it is. Yeah, I think definitely that's one of the things I hope to be able to do over the next, starting probably from about now. Thank you, Jo.
Great.
Thanks very much, and thanks again to all three speakers. It's a comment there from Hamish. Yeah, we've got spaces next year if anyone wants to volunteer to present their work, or doesn't need to be college finding, anything. So yeah, just drop us an email, Hamish or Mike or me, if you want to present. Yeah, have a Christmas, everyone. Thanks very much for coming.